Hi everyone. I was catching up on all the news I'd missed over the weekend this morning, and I've read two articles in the Independent on universal credit, which will absolutely infuriate you. And it's the last sentence that I'll get to in this that will infuriate you. Now, universal credit came in. It was a brainchild of Ian Duncan Smith, I think, and it came in as a benefit system to replace like 7 different benefits. In theory, it was a great idea, actually, because there's no need really for 7 different benefit agencies, is there? You could have one centralised location. It's all in there. It's going to be very efficient. It's going to cut down on costs, and it's going to be better for the people who are, on benefits, the poorest of this country. So, in theory, it was good, but it's been rolled out in such a way and mismanaged in so badly by the Tories that we're in a situation now where this is happening. Then rent arrears have doubled in universal credit areas. This is the first. Let's just show you these articles. It won't take long, I promise, but the last sentence I read, the one I've highlighted, will infuriate you. Remember, the whole point of all this was to streamline everything, to centralise it, to save money and to make it more efficient. Now we know it's not efficient, as this article proves. Universal credit. Rent arrears more than double for benefit claimants, new figures show. Council tenants who claim universal credit have on average more than double the rent arrears as those who have not yet moved on to the new benefit system, new figures show. I'm not surprised by this. I really am not. Ministers have been accused of, quote, ploughing ahead with the welfare reform despite warnings that it would lead to more people owing money on unpaid rent, after Freedom of Information data revealed that claimants owed on average £662.56 compared with £262.50 for those on housing benefit. So it's more than double. It's almost triple. Another £120 and it'll be triple. The figures obtained by BBC Panorama, my God, the BBC actually did something good, show that in Flintshire in North Wales, one of the first areas in the UK to roll out universal credit, council tenants on the new benefit system owed 6 times as much rent as those using the old benefit system, with evictions in the county up by 55% compared to the same time last year. These statistics are absolutely incredible. One claimant in Flintshire who was being threatened with eviction after falling into rent arrears told the programme he was already looking for somewhere to live and had, quote, found a bridge he could live under. 66 years old that guy is. It's in the article. Get to the website and check it out. It's heartbreaking. It really is. The reason he's been sanctioned is because he can't use a computer. He's 66 years old. He's never used one. And they've got no system with universal credit to help people who haven't. It all goes through the automatic system. It's all online. Older people, close to retirement age. He lost his job last year, that guy did. The struggle. And there's no help from universal credit. Then there's this article I saw, the very next article I read. This is only yesterday it was published. Around 3 million people will still be worse off on universal credit, study warns. Now this is after the injection of money from, Hammond in his budget last week. It's in this article, I'll read it for you. Around 3 million people will still be worse off on universal credit despite Philip Hammond's budget U-turn to head off a Tory revolt, a study warns today. The Chancellor's decision to pump £1.7 billion into higher payments from the controversial new benefit will ease the pain for 200,000 workers, a respected think tank says. But the Resolution Foundation concludes that far more must be done to make it fit for tackling the big challenge of in-work poverty, where 2/3 of children below the breadline are in families where someone works. The think tank raised fresh concerns that the complex system will still heavily penalise single parents and second earners in families who are usually women, and self-employed people like me, I would add to that. The welcome extra investment in universal credit to the budget means a further 200,000 working families will now be better off under the new system than the old one, said Laura Gardner, its research director. But if the government wants to make universal credit fit for the challenge of tackling 21st century poverty in Britain, the recent changes could mark the start of the reforms rather than the end. I won't read the next couple of quotes. They're basically this government spin to try and say, yeah, we're putting this money in and it's going to stop the payments from 5 weeks to 3 weeks, your first payments. We're putting another 1.7 billion here and another billion there to paper over the cracks from universal credit. But here's the problem with all this. It's caused a massive amount of problems for the poorest and the most vulnerable people in this country. You know, people have died. People have killed themselves over this. People have been evicted. They've lost their houses. They've lost their families. They've lost their lives. But here's the thing. I've highlighted that sentence there. I'll get to it. A further 1.7 billion will improve work allowances, the amount someone can earn before their benefits start to be clawed back from their higher income, which would be worth under £630 per person. That would probably affect me. But here's the line. Significantly, the concession means universal credit, which merges 6 working benefits into a single payment, will now cost more than the benefit system it replaces. So the whole point of universal credit coming in was to streamline it all, to make it more efficient. That was the whole point, to make sure nobody's worse off. That's what they said, to streamline, make it more efficient, make sure nobody's worse off. It was going to be great. And in theory, it should be. I mean, there's 7 benefit systems there it's replacing. So not only have they rolled it out in such a way that have really punished the poorest and the most vulnerable in this country, but now it's actually going to cost more than what it's replaced. I've got experience with universal credit. I actually applied for it. I had to apply for it back in November, the end of November in 2017. It took me 6 weeks to get it. No, first payment was end of January. So for 8 or 9 weeks it took. And they still haven't paid me for the December, because the universal credit in my area didn't roll out until January the 1st. And even though I applied at the end of November and I went through the whole of December with no money basically, they still haven't paid me for it. They've got no way of doing it. I tried to apply and they said universal credit's being rolled out on the 12th of December, so you've got to apply there instead of with us. That was the tax credits. In 2015 I was on tax credits. I was on working tax credits because my income was low, and I had some working tax credits. Now my rent was being paid at the time because I was out of work, lost my job, and they gave me £54 a week. Working tax credits did, but because they gave me that £54 a week, I had to pay an extra £48 a week in rent out of my own pocket. So essentially I was only £6 better off. Okay? You with me so far? This was 2015. When I started getting a payment from Universal Credit, and I will go into it at some stage, but it's obviously a personal story. But it's been far worse than what I'm telling you now. They started taking £79 a month off me at working tax credits for money that they apparently had said they paid me 3 years ago that I shouldn't have got. Now, they only paid me £54 a week. I think it was for 9 months I needed it. And now they're taking £79 a month off me. All of the money they gave me over that period in 2015. They're taking it directly from the Universal Credit payment. And if my Universal Credit, a few months ago, my Universal Credit payment goes down and down and down because my income has been increasing. But now they're taking direct from my rent payment. Now, I can prove that this money was fairly given to me. In fact, I can prove that the money that I received in 2015 was actually less than half of what I was actually entitled to. Many people feel this way. They don't like benefits. They don't like applying for them. They only apply for them when they're absolutely desperate, and that was the case in mine. So I was getting half the benefits that I really was entitled to in 2015. And now not only are they taking what they gave off me, remember, My rent went up by £48 a month. Yeah, £48 a week. So they were giving me £54 a week in one hand and taking £48 a week off me in another. So they gave me £6 a week for, I think it was 9 months. £6 a week. Do that in your head. It's about £200, something like that. And in the last 10 months since I started on Usual's Credit, I'm almost off it now. They have taken almost £800 off me. This is the God's honest truth. I'm not lying to you. This is the truth. The only reason I haven't talked about this so far on this channel is because it's a personal story and I'm embarrassed about it. People are embarrassed when they're on benefits. But I had to do it because, to do this, to start doing this, that's pretty much the only thing I could do. Now, a lot of people will obviously, call me bad names and etc. for that, and that's fine. No, you carry on. You knock yourselves out. But this is the sort of crap that they are doing to people. Now, obviously this forced me into... I've been in poverty now for, basically all year, with your help and with the help of, the tiny amount of revenue stream I get on Patreon and from Google, from AdSense. It's actually getting to the stage now where a couple of months I might actually make it to be earning minimum wage. But as you know, as my viewers know, I'm working damn hard at this. It's not like I'm working 40 hours a week. It's more like 80. And I'm actually getting less. I'm not only getting less than minimum wage, even though I'm working and having universal credit, and I've been getting less than minimum wage ever since I started this. But they're also taking money off me for money I don't owe from 2015. When I speak to the Working Tax Credits Office, and I've contacted them many times, and anybody who's ever tried to contact the Working Tax Credits will know just how bad their telephone system is. I've actually got a video. I videoed myself for 6 hours trying to get through to them when they first did this in March. 6 hours. I've sent it to them. They cut me off something like 13 times. It took me, I think, 4 hours to even get to speak to a person. And the advice I got was, you need to sign this form. So I did a form, sent it in, claimed it, and they said because it was 3 years ago, you can't. You have to. What's the word? You have to make this claim within 12 months of the benefit ending. I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware that they said that I owed anything. And I said, well, I'll go to Universal Credit and say, well, I don't owe this money. Can you stop them, take it off me? They said, no, you've got to speak to Working Tax Credits. So you go back to Working Tax Credits and they said, well, the only way you can stop this happening is to go to Universal Credit. And for the last 9 months, I've been bounced from one to the other, to the other, to the other. Now, for a single person like me, a guy who's in a healthy mental state, shall we say, although some of you may disagree with that, especially seeing some of my rants on certain subjects. That's okay, I can handle it. It's frustrating, and there are times when, I've shouted down the phone and screamed at them, and I'm in constant contact with them. I have been for months. But I've been able to manage. Can you imagine if this is, somebody who's disabled, somebody who's mentally ill and maybe got, a couple of children? They're killing people. And not only are they killing people, it's actually cost them more than it was previous. It's amazing. Now, when I first complained about my situation, by the way, it was in February I found out about it, the first payment. When I first complained about it, they said, right, okay, you need to put this complaint form in, and I did that. And I chased them and chased them and chased them for 5 months, almost 6 months. I chased them, and they said, we'll get back to you, we'll get back to you, we'll get back to you. And I had no response. I had to chase them like every week, every 2 weeks, we'll get back to you. After 6 months, do you know what they said? We're awfully sorry, but the complaint that was sent to, I didn't send it to a wrong email. They sent it to an email that no longer existed. It took them 6 months to figure that out. 6 months. And that's just part of the problem. There are probably 5 or 6 huge problems. That's just with me. Can you imagine how that affects the poor, the weak, the elderly, the disabled, the vulnerable? I've said it before, it's costing more now. It's costing more than what it did before. I've said it before, universal credit is just the Tory final solution under a fancy name. If you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and click the bell below so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. Independent voices like mine, I'm sure you're aware by now, are being censored across all social media platforms, so please like and comment on the videos. That really does help the channel out, and share the videos wherever you can to grow the audience. If you can, please support me on Patreon. You can do it for as little as $1 a month. I cannot do this without your help. I rely on your donations. Thanks very much for your support. It really is appreciated. Until next time, peace and take care.